The session today is kind of a treat, I think, for a lot of the nonprofits. We have our great partners at Padilla Spear Beardsley. Tracy Carlson, the Director of Media Relations, is going to be joining me, and she's going to be sharing a lot of content. In fact, most of the session is going to be dedicated to her sharing content to help nonprofits get prepared for a crisis and dealing with crisis communication. And so I don't have a lot on that content, but I think that we're going to have the slides available on the website as well afterwards for the conference website. So take a look at those slides. But generally, nonprofits, anyone needs to prepare. Tracy shares a statistic that 89% of for-profit executives who have been surveyed said that they think a crisis will happen at some point to their organization. And soon, not like as in the next 20 years, but they think something will happen, and yet 50% of them say they have no plan or communication plan in place, which is kind of shocking. And I'm willing to bet it's 50% or less in the nonprofit community that are prepared. And so we just really wanted a session that talked about how to prepare for it in terms of communication and marketing, but also that other component of fundraising here in the nonprofit community, because whether you're in a post-tornado situation or flooding situation and you're, say, an animal organization, you oftentimes will still find that you need to do fundraising either to repair your facility or to provide direct support and relief to victims of the natural disaster. And so in some way, if a disaster strikes your community, your nonprofit will be involved in fundraising as well as communicating and marketing. We found that was true for the North Minneapolis tornado in 2011 and for flooding in Duluth in 2012, that different organizations that maybe didn't think of themselves as flood relief organizations had to do fundraising. Particularly the Lake Superior Zoo up in Duluth had a lot of damage, and so they were doing fundraising to repair their facilities. It wasn't flood relief for people in their homes and things like that, although the other organization that comes to mind for that disaster was the Red Cross, who was doing direct assistance to residents in the area and people in the community who were trying to recover from the flooding. So disaster fundraising and disaster preparedness is something to really be part of. The other component, and one of the reasons I pitched this session too, was how quickly using tools like GiveMN and mobile technologies that people can get fundraising efforts underway off the ground within 24 hours to start fundraising immediately. Because one of the components of a disaster or a crisis situation is the immediacy of media attention and empathy from the community, and that tapers off over time. So a week after disasters happened, you have fewer people willing to donate or volunteer their time than the day it happens. And so to capitalize on some of that and to be able to actually give people a way to help immediately, so a tool like GiveMN where you can set up a project page within a matter of minutes or an hour, and also get, say, a matching grant set up from another organization, maybe a community foundation or a for-profit partner, and get those tools available on a GiveMN page so that immediately people can start making online donations to help with that effort and recovery and relief. It's really amazing how fast it can happen. And the really good example of that is with North Minneapolis tornado. We were able to partner with the Minneapolis Foundation, and they put up a matching grant. They set up their page as a project page on GiveMN, and we're able to set up a matching grant using our matching grant feature. Within 24 hours, we had that effort up. And then we had things on social media going viral. We had Jason DeRusha from WCCO, very prominent social media user. Mayor Ryback from Minneapolis was on Twitter sharing that link to that GiveMN page within 24 hours, and so people were able to immediately give financial support, which was much needed. And Mayor Ryback shared a story about the bridge collapse when they didn't have those GiveMN tools there. People were wanting to donate, and so in some cases he shares kind of a funny story about people giving hot dogs, tons and tons of hot dogs, and he was like, "That's great, we don't need any more hot dogs," And so in the absence of tools like GiveMN and ability to share and make a donation immediately and get that fundraising effort off the ground immediately, people will donate things that maybe aren't as needed. And so that's kind of the need that we have there and why we're sharing that session in this session today.